In 2021, my marriage fell apart. That was a wake-up call in my life. I had less than $10,000 in cash and roughly $40,000 in my IRA, and that's pretty much it. I think the fear of failure is not only about my own life anymore, it's more about that if I fail, I'm gonna disappoint my daughter. That's when I start to become very consistent and really disciplined with myself. When I make a financial plan, I make sure that I stick with it and to achieve my goals. My name is Wang. I am 37 years old. I make nearly $1 million a year working in AI. I live in Palo Alto, California. I work on AI products like different types of chatbot products over the past few years. My role in those are mostly help improving the model quality and improving the user experiences. That includes incorporating a lot of human data or synthetic data to help improve the model quality. I always looking for areas where I can be a student instead of being the teacher. I put majority of my income towards investment. I live in a very frugal lifestyle. I don't typically go for retail shopping. If I wanted to get a piece of clothing, majority of the time I getting it pre-owned through different thrifting stores and different marketplaces, and in that way I don't have to pay for the retail price. I choose to rent versus buy because real estate here in the Bay Area is very expensive. When I run the math, the amount of interest I will end up paying will be way more than the rent I'm currently paying. And I would rather put the money towards investment and to let my money grow in the future. If I have any credit card balance, I pay it off right away. I don't carry any balance over time. In general, right now, I don't have debt besides my car, which I can pay it off very easily, but in general, I don't carry any debt. As my income grows, I do relax my expense for a little. I used to go into grocery stores and looking at the price tag and thinking that if I should get raspberry versus strawberry, but now I can get both. Another thing is I was able to invest myself in more fitness, and I was able to take more dance classes, yoga classes as I like. Also, I was able to invest in travel in the past year because that was a thing I wasn't able to do in the past few years. I was born and raised in Kaifeng, which is a small city in the middle part of China. When I was growing up, I feel like there was a lot of expectation was put on me from teachers, families, and later from my boss, from work, and I don't feel like I have enough of the freedom of wanting to live the life that I wanted, and which promotes me to have this idea of wanting to move abroad and live in a different environment. When I first arrived in the US, my English was bad. It was terrible, and the communication was very difficult. But gradually, as I practiced more and speaking more, it's just getting better over the years. The biggest difference between the culture of the US versus China, in China, people are very family and community oriented, and versus here, people are very independent. So it does take a little bit to adjust for me because back in China, people surrounding their lives around their family and community. My role was sourcing manager in their hardware device sectors, and I was mostly managing the sourcing aspects of it. I was working in Seattle for a few years up until the year 2019. And that's when I decided to leave a job for a period of time to focus on family. I stopped working in early 2020. When we were splitting up, I took a really hard look in my personal finances, and I had less than $10,000 in cash and roughly $40,000 in my IRA, and that's pretty much it. It was pretty shocking for me as well to come to that realization. I remember the personal identity shift was a very big thing for me. To transform from someone else's wife to a single mom, it was truly a wake-up call for me, and for me to really take a look back into my life. And up until to that point, I had managed my personal finance really terribly. I had to make a really drastic change in terms of my mindset and how do I manage my personal finances, because this is not only just about me anymore. This is also about me taking care of my daughter's future as well. So that's when I started to make a really solid budgeting plan and making sure my expenses, everything's in place. And I started to build up the habit of putting away money for investment, trying to prioritize all my 401k contribution. And that's when I started to become very consistent and really disciplined with myself. When I make a financial plan and I make sure that I stick with it and to achieve my goals. And that includes learning about how to build a solid budget plan, investment plan, and making sure I really do my own study before I put in my money towards anything. In 2021, I decided to take an offer from Google, and I moved to Mountain View, California, and I was working as a vendor operations manager in engineering and productivity. I was in that role for almost a year. When I started to realize that I was not pushing myself enough, I don't feel like I was growing as enough. So I started to ask myself this question of where in this organization that I can be in a role where I'm working on something that's super important for the company and will be also important for my future career. So I took an opportunity in Google Assistant, and that's where I made the first step transition into AI. When I started to think about what's going to be important for the future of the company, what's going to be important for the future of the technology. A large language model back then was not getting as much traction as right now, but back then that to me seems to be a technology where we can find applications in different areas in the company, in people's life, and that's when I decided to take a bet in that. When I walk into the office and I know I'm working on something that's really important to the company, really important to the future of this technology, and that's mostly excites me. I am getting to a point where I can retire early if I want, but I choose not to because to me, my work is very fulfilling. I enjoy that learning experience and keep working in the area where I feel I'm making an impact. Also, I believe that financial independence is actually not so much about finance. It's more about the independence part, where you feel that you have this freedom to be able to make the choice in your career, in your life that you like, and that's more valuable to me. People coming from a place where they are not starting from a very good place, but you can gradually get somewhere as long as you're consistent and disciplined with your plan.